There's some interesting news coming out of the Las Vegas Raiders OTAs. Rookie guard Caleb Rogers is now taking snaps with the first-team offense. That's a big development, and here's why it matters. Early in the process, Alex Kappa was firmly in place as the starting right guard. There was no rotation, no question. Kappa was locked in. Meanwhile, rookies like Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant were working strictly with the second and third units. But that's changed. Now Rogers is rotating in with the starters. It's still early, training camp and preseason are ahead, but this shift is worth paying attention to. The fact that Rogers is already getting first-team reps signals that the coaching staff is seriously evaluating him as a potential starter. While the left guard position is still up for grabs, with Dylan Parham and Jordan Meredith splitting first-team reps, the rest of the offensive line seems settled. If the season started tomorrow, it would likely be Colton Miller at left tackle, Jackson Powers Johnson at center, and DJ Glaze at right tackle. But that right guard spot, it's starting to look like a real competition. Now, it's important to keep in mind that these OTAs are non-contact, no pads, no hitting. Still, players are running at full speed, and these reps matter. The fact that Rogers has already learned the system well enough to line up with the starters speaks volumes. He's understanding the playbook, the steps, the angles, and executing well enough to earn trust. Some may say it's just about getting the rookie adjusted to NFL speed, and there's truth to that. But teams also have to be careful not to throw young players in too fast. Confidence matters, and pushing someone before they're ready can backfire. That doesn't seem to be the case with Rogers. He's holding his own so far. It's also worth noting that he's taken some reps at left guard with the second team, likely to fill in as Parham and Meredith handle the first-team duties. That flexibility could help his chances even more as roster decisions get closer. Overall, Rogers is making a strong early impression, and the Raiders seem to be seriously considering him as a potential piece of their starting offensive line. It's great to see Caleb Rogers getting first-team reps, but it also raises another question. When will Charles Grant get his shot? So far, Grant hasn't been part of the first-team rotation at right tackle. With only a short time left in OTAs, it's uncertain whether he'll get that chance before training camp, but once camp kicks off, he's definitely a name to watch. Charles Grant is one of the more intriguing prospects heading into the season. He has the tools and potential to develop into something special, and his progress could be critical for the Raiders' offensive line depth. If he starts earning reps at right tackle, the competition could heat up quickly. Looking long-term, the Raiders are in a position where their future offensive line might already be on the roster. If this unit develops as expected, in a few years, we could be looking at a top 5 offensive line made entirely of players currently on the team. It's all about development from this point forward. On the defensive side, there are some interesting trends taking shape in the secondary. Based on recent observations from team practices, the Raiders are leaning heavily into a big nickel package when they move out of their base defense. Rather than using a traditional slot cornerback, they're shifting a safety into that slot role. Currently, Isaiah Pola-Mao and Jeremy Chinn are getting those key snaps. In the big nickel look, Pola-Mao drops down into the slot, while Chinn lines up opposite him. When Pola-Mao isn't in that role, Lonnie Johnson Jr. has been stepping in as the slot defender. There's still some uncertainty about whether Johnson will be used as a cornerback or a safety. He's played both, but the coaching staff appears to be evaluating him seriously for the nickel role. As of now, it looks like he could emerge as the Raiders' primary slot defender during nickel packages. That will also depend on who ultimately starts at free safety. Some reports suggest that Pola-Mao is currently penciled in as the starting free safety, but that could change depending on how the competition plays out during training camp and preseason. The staff is still assessing where each player fits best, especially in terms of safety responsibilities. The Raiders are clearly experimenting with different combinations and roles in the secondary, and how those battles unfold over the next few months will shape the identity of the defense heading into the season. There are some interesting developments unfolding in the Raiders' secondary. One of the biggest surprises so far is that Jacorian Bennett has been moved to the second-team defense. Right now, the starting outside cornerbacks are Darian Porter and Eric Stokes. This shift suggests the coaching staff may be favoring bigger, more physical corners in the starting lineup. Bennett, who showed a lot of promise last season, now finds himself rotating in only with the second unit. It's a surprising move, especially considering how strong he looked in his rookie year. His role going forward will be worth monitoring. On the positive side, two young safeties, Trey Taylor and Thomas Harper, are beginning to make some noise. Both have taken first-team snaps at free safety and appear to be legitimate contenders for the starting job. Trey Taylor, in particular, stands out as a natural fit in a cover-3 system. He has great speed, range, and instincts, making him ideal for playing deep and covering sideline to sideline. If the Raiders shift fully into that scheme, either Taylor or Harper could earn the starting role. In that case, Isaiah Pola-Mao might shift into a strong safety or slot role, where his physical style and box presence are better utilized. Jeremy Chin, another physical safety, is also in the mix for strong safety duties or slot coverage, giving the Raiders added flexibility in their defensive packages. There's even a scenario where the team uses just one true linebacker, keeping both Chin and Pola-Mao down near the line of scrimmage. That would give them more speed and coverage ability in modern sub-packages. While Pola-Mao is a solid player, he may not be the best fit as a single high safety. That role demands elite athleticism, quick hips, fast reaction time, and strong ball tracking ability, all areas where Pola-Mao is serviceable but not exceptional. He's more of a downhill player who thrives in the box rather than deep coverage. Overall, the Raiders' secondary is evolving. With the addition of players like Chin, Taylor, and Harper, this year's unit could look very different from last season's. If these younger players continue to impress, the defense could take a big step forward. There's been growing speculation about Michael Mayer's future with the Raiders, especially after trade rumors surfaced earlier this offseason. However, offensive coordinator Chip Kelly addressed those rumors head-on and gave some much-needed clarity during his recent press conference. Kelly stated that since joining the team, Mayer has been outstanding, especially throughout the offseason program. He emphasized that no decisions were made until coaches had a chance to evaluate players firsthand, and based on what he's seen, Mayer has been fantastic since day one. That vote of confidence from Kelly suggests the Raiders are not actively shopping Mayer, despite earlier reports. According to the Athletics insiders, including Tashin Reed and Vic Tafur, the Raiders were at least open to exploring trades for Mayer and running back Zamir White. But Kelly's comments seem to counter that idea. He even joked that coaches never complain about having too many good players, noting that teams can easily run 2 or even 3 tight end sets if needed. What's clear is that Kelly sees a future where Mayer and rookie Brock Bowers both play key roles in the offense. While Bowers is expected to be the dynamic receiving threat, Mayer could carve out his place as one of the league's top blocking tight ends. And that's not a knock. Kelly believes Mayer has the potential to become a top 10 tight end in both run and pass blocking. Though Mayer was a high draft pick, taken 35th overall after the Raiders traded up, his true value might not be in gaudy receiving stats. Instead, his role could be as a powerful, versatile tight end who can block at a high level while still contributing 400 to 600 yards as a pass catcher. Every offense needs that type of player, someone who can win matchups against linebackers and contribute in multiple ways. Keeping Mayer on the roster gives the Raiders flexibility. There's likely no backup tight end in the league as talented and well-rounded as Mayer. Even if trade possibilities still exist, Kelly's stance suggests the Raiders would rather keep him and maximize his potential over the next couple of seasons than deal him for a low return, like a 5th-round pick. Ultimately, this is a situation where the Raiders benefit from depth and versatility. Mayer and Bowers offer different strengths, and Chip Kelly made it clear there's nothing wrong with having 2 good tight ends. One last note from Raiders OTAs. This one's not a huge deal, but it's worth clearing up for accuracy. Earlier, there was a bit of confusion about who told rookie running back Ashton Jeanty to change his stance. In an interview, Jeanty mentioned a conversation with offensive coordinator Chip Kelly, which led many to believe Kelly was behind the adjustment. But Kelly recently clarified the situation. It wasn't his decision. While he did give Jeanty a basketball analogy to help him understand the reasoning, it was actually running backs coach Dan Moyo who suggested the change. Dan Moyo is a highly respected position coach, and his advice makes sense. Jeanty's original stance was a bit too upright, which can reduce explosiveness, especially at the NFL level, where every fraction of a second matters. A slightly delayed burst can be the difference between hitting a hole or getting stopped behind the line. This kind of technique change isn't unusual. Offensive linemen, for example, often adjust their stances and footwork when transitioning from college to the NFL, especially when moving into more complex run schemes like outside zone. Coaches like Tom Cable have been known to demand exact foot angles and body positions for every step, and running backs are no exception. Even quarterbacks tweak their mechanics when adapting to new offensive systems. So, Junty's adjustment is just part of the learning curve. It's a small detail, but these details add up. And if he gets it right, it'll help him hit holes quicker and maximize his burst. With OTAS now wrapping up, the Raiders are looking sharper and more organized than they've been in years. This roster is deeper than many people realize, and the coaching staff is a big part of that. PeteCarroll brings veteran leadership, Chip Kelly has proven himself as an innovative offensive mind, and Patrick Graham, arguably the Raiders' best coach last season, helped the defense thrive even with limited resources and multiple injuries. As we look ahead to the rest of the offseason, there's a lot to be optimistic about. The Raiders might be one of the more underrated teams heading into this season.